Our call of the day is Morgan Stanley upgraded to a buy at Citi. Price target's $52, 14% upside from here. Bank earnings coming next week. What do you got for me?
I like Morgan Stanley. I've owned it in the past, but I'm going to go Goldman Sachs. I think Goldman Sachs is diversifying much better. Doesn't mean Morgan Stanley cannot move higher. I think it can, but I think the alpha generation opportunity is in Goldman Sachs over Morgan Stanley.
Okay. Who wants the other side? Or
I agree. I don't want the other side. I think they're both quality companies, but Goldman, I mean, what they're making modern day moves out of their business model. I think David Solomon's doing a phenomenal job so far, and it's exciting. It's got an exciting future.
Nobody wants Morgan Stanley?
No,
There's nothing wrong with Morgan Stanley.
We said we like Morgan Stanley.
You said Goldman over Morgan Stanley.
Yeah, well, there's the outperformance. David Solomon's doing a phenomenal job. He's bringing energy into the company. Things like Marcus, the diversification story, the focus on fintech. I'm sorry.
There's also
partnership with one of my favorite companies, Apple. You know, and.
But there's also the removal of a negative or quasi-removal, which is it's been over a year since the 1MDB scandal really hit, and now the market's digested that. The market overreacted through most of 2018 into 2019. Now you're seeing Goldman power through that as a stock, and it's going to continue.
So nobody owns Morgan Stanley. Nobody would. We're talking about Morgan Stanley.
We like Morgan Stanley. There's nothing wrong with it. We like Goldman better.
Right.
Is that not okay?
No, it is. But no one wants to buy Morgan Stanley.
Look, we don't have to own every
either.
stock.
I don't know. I mean, I own Visa. That's my.
I'm not telling you have to own Morgan Stanley, but when I ask about Morgan Stanley, everybody says Goldman Sachs. Goldman Sachs.
Quality company, quality management. I think Goldman Sachs is doing other dimension stuff, right? That is more creative and taking away from just dependence on the markets.
So going into earnings season for the banks, Goldman Sachs is the top pick. Is that what you're telling me?
I'll give you that. I'll give you
Joe
that.
doesn't.
I've got
Joe's
Citi.
wishy-washy on me now.
Yeah, I've got Citi. I'm playing for something north of 75 on Citi. I also have American Express. I think favorably about them. JP Morgan I own as well. Listen, I still think Morgan Stanley is going to do okay.
Look, all of those names you just mentioned march to the beat of individual drums, right? They're not going to go in lockstep. The problem about the Morgan Stanley call, Scott, is it looks a lot like Goldman Sachs. They look a lot alike in what they do. So, when you bring one up, immediately the other name comes to your mind and you think about which one do you want to own. Yes, you could own both of them. I don't like to. I like to have more concentrated bets. That's why I'm selecting one over the other.
Okay. Jenny?
I don't own any.
No banks.
No banks.
No banks.
Wow. No, well,
there's some growing yields there after the CCAR.
They're not big enough. If we'd owned anything in our growth portfolio, we own Wells Fargo, and we wish we'd owned JP Morgan instead, and think that we screwed up on that. Wells Fargo.
Isn't it oxymoron, Wells Fargo growth? Isn't it?
Well, it's a disciplined growth portfolio, so it looks at free cash flow yield. So,
Okay.
yeah.
All right. How about?